Determining if the 20 amp circuit installation for the Whirlpool constitutes a code violation hinges on adherence to the manufacturer's specifications. These specifications, detailed in the installation or operation manual, clearly stipulate the required amperage for the Whirlpool model. Without knowing the specific model number, it is impossible to definitively state whether the 20 amp circuit complies with the requirements. If the manufacturer's instructions mandate a 15 amp circuit, then the installation with a 20 amp breaker presents a potential issue and could also be a code violation. It is critically important to understand that electrical codes are in place to ensure safety and prevent damage to equipment and property. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers, are designed to trip and interrupt the circuit when the current exceeds the rated amperage. This protects the wiring and connected equipment from overheating and potential fire hazards. Installing a higher amperage breaker than what is specified for the equipment can defeat this protection. In the situation of the Whirlpool, if the unit is designed to operate on a 15 amp circuit, a fault condition within the Whirlpool that draws between 15 and 20 amps might not trip the 20 amp breaker. This could lead to overheating of the Whirlpool's internal components, potentially causing damage or creating a fire hazard. Electrical codes, such as the National Electrical Code, or NEC, provide guidelines for safe electrical installations. Section 110.3 B of the NEC addresses the installation and use of equipment, stating that listed or labeled equipment must be installed and used in accordance with any instructions included in the listing or labeling. This means that following the manufacturer's specifications for the Whirlpool's electrical connection is not just a recommendation, it is a requirement for code compliance. Section 210.21 B1 of the NEC addresses the permissible loads for branch circuits. While it doesn't explicitly prohibit using a 20 amp circuit for a 15 amp device, it emphasizes that the rating of any one cord and plug connected appliance not fastened in place shall not exceed 80% of the branch circuit ampere rating. This section is more relevant for general use circuits, but it highlights the importance of matching the circuit capacity to the load. To determine if the 20 amp circuit is a code violation, firstly, locate the Whirlpool's model number. This information is typically found on a label affixed to the unit itself. Secondly, access the manufacturer's website or contact the manufacturer directly to obtain the installation and operation manual of the specification sheet for the Whirlpool model. This document will specify the required amperage for the electrical circuit. Thirdly, compare the required amperage specified by the manufacturer with the existing 20 amp circuit. If the manufacturer specifies a 15 amp circuit, then the 20 amp circuit is likely a code violation and should be corrected. If the manufacturer specifies a 20 amp circuit, then the installation is likely compliant, assuming all other aspects of the installation meet code requirements. If the manufacturer's documentation is unavailable or unclear, it is recommended to consult with a qualified electrician. An electrician can assess the Whirlpool's electrical requirements, evaluate the existing circuit, and determine if any corrections are needed to ensure code compliance and safe operation. It's important to note that using a ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, is typically required for Whirlpool circuits, as this provides additional protection against electrical shock hazards. Section 680.71 of the NEC specifically addresses the requirements for hydromassage bathtubs, which includes Whirlpools. This section mandates GFCI protection for the branch circuits supplying these units. Ensure that the 20 amp circuit is GFCI protected. If it is not, this is a separate code violation that needs to be addressed. Correcting a code violation typically involves replacing the 20 amp breaker with a 15 amp breaker. However, before doing so, it is essential to verify that the wiring for the circuit is adequately sized for a 15 amp circuit. Typically, a 15 amp circuit uses 14 American wire gauge or AUG copper wire, while a 20 amp circuit uses 12 AWG copper wire. If the existing wiring is 14 AWG, it is not permissible to replace the 15 amp breaker with a 20 amp breaker. Doing so would create a fire hazard. The wiring would need to be upgraded to 12 AWG copper wire before installing a 20 amp breaker. If the existing wiring is already 12 AWG or larger, then replacing the 20 amp breaker with a 15 amp breaker is a straightforward solution. It's important to properly label the breaker in the electrical panel to indicate that it is for the Whirlpool. This helps prevent confusion in the future and ensures that the correct breaker is used for the Whirlpool. In summary, determine the manufacturer's specified amperage for the Whirlpool. If it requires 15 amps, replace the 20 amp breaker with a 15 amp breaker, ensuring the wiring is adequately sized and verify GFCI protection. If unsure, consult with a qualified electrician.